our streaming software crashed, and we just had to bring it back up. But this is part 2 of our. I guess we have a little more than half an hour left. So this is the third act of our TV creation or creating a TV show class. So this is a free promo class for Script Camp. Thanks for being with us. If you want to join us, make sure to come by on Discord. The question we just got, and so I'll recap what we've been doing, which is we've been putting together a workplace sitcom about mail carriers. And just for the purposes of specificity, I'm just going to say, let's have this take place in LA, because that's where Script Camp is based and where I live. So we'll say Los Angeles as an element of the story engine might contribute as well. I mean, there's all these specifics to the individual area of the world that you put your show in. So we have, like, downtown Los Angeles has its own quirks and problems and characters and archetypes and all these things. So I'm just going to put that at the top here. So the question we just got was, how do we start to establish stakes? Was that the question, Jotel?
Yeah, it was. Like, where is it coming from? Like, I'm just like curious where. Usually, like with TV premises, right? There's usually some form of like in conflict, right? I know we were saying we haven't really fully established that, but if we were to pick one of these, for example, how would you start to derive stakes out of that? Is it from like a clear goal,
sure,
clear want from the character? Or
yeah. So there's not gonna be, in a show like this, there's not a main conflict. There's usually not gonna be a huge story arc of any kind. Or there will be development and change over the years, but it's not like we're building up to something huge, usually. Sometimes in later arcs of things like The Office, they will build up to Jim and Pam's wedding or something like that. But for the most part, we're dealing with episodes on a one-at-a-time basis. So all of your stakes are going to come from whatever the problem in that episode is. So in our pilot, for instance, I really like the porch pirate idea. So let's just say our main character is super excited to get a PS5. With all the money he's been saving from his mail carrier job, but every time he orders one, it gets stolen off his porch. So in terms of a sitcom, the stakes are usually going to be things like this. They're going to be like a small problem that the character has, or they're going to be denied something that they want. They're not going to be massive stakes, but we just really play up in the cold open. Like, your main character is so excited to finally use this money from his new post-carrying job to get this new PS5, and he's going to get this game, and he's going to get that game, and he's going to melt his brain over the long weekend, because it's Memorial Day coming up, and he doesn't have to work on the Monday, so he's going to melt his brain. He's telling his coworkers all about it, and then he gets home, and the package is stolen, right? And so for that episode, our A story is going to be, he's going to try to find a way to stop the porch pirate, and if he fails, then he'll never get his PS5. If he succeeds, then he will get the PS5 that he wants. So that's how I think of establishing stakes in a sitcom. It's, you just find out what is the problem of the week, what is the thing that the main character has been denied or that they're trying to accomplish, and then you really emphasize why they want that thing. So you have to set up in your first act or in your cold open at least, or I should say, sometime in your first few pages, we're setting up why your main character really wants or needs this thing, and then that's going to create stakes by itself. Just your character wanting something and us seeing there's a clear reason why they want it. And understanding the reason why they want it is going to create a sense of stakes no matter how low they are. Does that answer that question okay? Maybe he can't talk on the mic, but his comment says, I guess I was imagining the main character we would be watching is them. The main thing we would be watching is them delivering things. I think they would definitely be delivering things in the episode, for sure. And that would probably be where our B and C stories came in. Let's say, for instance, the B story might be that one of your main character's best friend wants somebody else's route, and they're trying to figure out what they have to bargain or what they have to trade in order to get the best route. So best friend wants to get off let's say he's trying to get off the worst route, actually. He's trying to get off the mean dog route. And your C story might be, the office is so underfunded that an executive has been brought into... All right, let's say they've hired an ex-convict. An ex-convict who is stealing stuff. Oh wait, maybe that would just seem like that was the pirate, wouldn't it? So they've hired an ex-convict who is causing trouble at the facility. Okay, so that's just an example of 3 conflicts that we might get in an episode, and we could just come up with, like, using this list that we have here, in one episode, maybe the mean UPS driver is starting to get on everyone's nerves and starting to take all their best deliveries for them. Or maybe, we have the generational issues that might take precedence in another episode, where one of your characters is refusing to upgrade the computer system, and they need to try to do everything they can to convince this old-timer to change his ways. And, like, you can find different avenues or different routes for how they might accomplish those goals that might take them almost anywhere. But having this big list at the beginning to draw from, we have, like, having a strong enough story engine means that we can just come up with unlimited seeds for these many different conflicts to come. So I'm sure we'll get some characters delivering things. And I'm sure we'll be watching, a balance between characters out on the road, back in the office, and sometimes perhaps at home or hanging out outside of work as well. It's nice to have that balance between different types of locations, even in a workplace comedy like this. Does anyone have any questions about story engines or how they work? Or anything we've talked about in this exercise? Maybe not. Okay. I think I had one more thing that I wanted to do today, which would be... and we have half an hour, so I think we do have enough time for it. Let's choose a community or a location that you haven't seen a show focus on before. So my examples here are like monks in a secluded temple or the crew of a submarine. Don't use those two, but that's the sort of thing we're looking for here, right? Interesting location or community or some combination of those things, like monks in a secluded temple. So what are some communities or locations that you guys would like to see a show focus on? Feel free to shout them out.
I would like to see cast members of Disneyland. That would be cool.
Oh, great. Cast members of Disneyland. Or we could say, I'll put Disneyland in parentheses, so we could say it could either be Disneyland or it could be just a theme park kind of like that. What else?
How about kids growing up in a cult?
Kids in a cult. Great. I love that. I don't think I've ever seen that. Except for maybe some of those, like, docuseries type shows. Public hippie drumming circle. Okay, sure, we'll put that on there. Hippie drumming circle. Let's come up with, like, 2 more. What's another type of community you've never... Or location, remember, these are all, well, actually, Disneyland is a specific place, but let's do a specific place. Morgana says group therapy. That's a good community. But let's do... Anyone have a good location for us? Something you've never seen a show set here before, but you'd love to? Go ahead.
The UN.
The UN? Okay.
I mean, there was a movie with Nicole Kidman. But...
There was. I think it was called The Interpreter. But that's a movie, so we're talking shows, so it's, totally different thing. Okay, I think we got enough. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Great. So with these, the ones that are jumping out to me, I like the cast members of Disneyland one. Kids in a Cult is quite interesting. I think the UN is cool. I'm not exactly sure about it yet. Let me see if I can pick one more. I'll pick the group therapy one as the third one. Okay. So here's the options, and now let's pick a genre. So let's pick either cop procedural, paranormal or urban fantasy, or superhero. What do you guys think? Which one of these 3 should we design a story?
We're combining this with the location, or...
Yeah, but we haven't... Just pick your favorite of these 3, and then we'll mash them together.
I like cop procedural.
Okay.
Or, I mean, it's not necessarily saying it's got to be a status quo show, right? It could still be like a
procedural usually does mean it's status quo.
Okay.
So we'll try to stick with that for this one. But
okay.
Usually you would say cop drama if it's going to be like a more premise-based show about police, like something like or some crime drama if it's going to have characters on both sides of the law. Yeah, procedural. So this is like your Law and Order, or it doesn't have to be cops. We'll just say crime procedural because that could be cops, that could be CSI, something like that. Okay, so let's do a crime procedural. Where do we want to see a crime procedural? Set at Disney? Set in a cult, in which case it might be not actual official sanctioned police, but maybe it would be like the cult sort of internal investigation squad. That'd be really cool. Or group therapy. I'm not quite sure how we can mash together group therapy with police procedural, but maybe it's about, we have a main character that is in therapy. Or maybe it's about the security guard at a group therapy clinic or something like that. Which of these do we like the best for a cop procedural? Smock and Fairy says Disney would be an interesting combo. I think, I kind of like Disney police procedural because Disney actually has a crazy advanced security network, and they have like an army of guards, cameras, investigators. Like we could actually do this show based on the security at a Disney type theme park. That's actually a cool idea. I like that. Let's go with that. Okay, so this could first of all be a reality show, like the Cops of Disneyland could in fact just be on TLC or something like that. But we can also think of other things that this could be. Like, this doesn't have to be strictly realistic either. For instance, we could say at a Disney type theme park, like the biggest in the world, let's say maybe the mascots, the 3 top mascots, actually solve crimes together at the park. Or we could do something like that, right? Where it doesn't have to be strictly realistic. This could be a cartoon. This could be fantasy-ish or sci-fi-ish if you have some idea like that. I think the nice thing is you can go almost anywhere with these things, but let's first of all talk about our engine. So, what are some interesting elements what are some conflicts that would come up when you're, first of all, just working at a place like Disneyland, and second of all, what kind of crimes do people commit at Disneyland?
Cutting in line. I'm not being serious with that, but
no, that could come out.
I mean, you can think of all Disney is pretty abhorrent. I'm going to go look up all besides all the live remakes. Those are crimes.
Okay, fair enough. In a certain sense, those might be considered crimes. But how about crimes that the cops in our show are actually able to bust?
Public intoxication.
Public intoxication. So we have like rude guests, basically. Rude or belligerent guests. What else?
Probably shoplifting.
Shoplifting, okay. What else?
Copyright infringement.
That could be funny.
Wearing a unsanctioned T-shirt or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I noticed your child was drawing a picture of Steamboat Willie. That means we will have to take him in for interrogation immediately. Yeah, that could be pretty funny if one episode was focused on them going around just busting all the bootleg T-shirts or something. What else?
Having a non-Disney brand character present.
Right, yeah, so basically copyright infringement. I think we could have a bit of that for sure. What else? What are some things that the security at Disney would have to deal with that's not necessarily a crime? Go ahead.
Shrinkage, like, the staff stealing something or problems with the staff.
Problems with staff? Okay, so the staff could commit some crimes themselves, sure. So like embezzlement or, something like that, or taking money, they're stealing or taking money from the register, or things along those lines.
They're referred to as cast members.
Cast members, that's right. Stealing the hot dogs. Yeah, we can have problems with the cast members. Go ahead.
There were some fights that broke out among people, too. So crowd fights.
Fights, that's a good one. Conflicts between the guests themselves that need to be broken up and resolved. What are some other problems?
What about,
go ahead.
like apathetic teenage workers. I'm thinking of like Adventureland when they were working in that theme park. Like they just don't care about the job.
Okay, yeah, in theory, the security might be the people that need to go around and motivate or interrogate the workers to make sure that they're doing their best.
Someone getting injured on a ride.
Injuries, okay, some medical help. I'll just say medical emergencies at the park. What about like a lost kid?
What about like COVID, like some type of pandemic thing?
Like not following the, wearing a mask or whatever they're supposed to do.
Sure, we could say contagious patrons, or yeah, I think that we could put that under health emergencies.
I got like metal detectors, like going through security. Like sometimes they stop you because you have a water bottle.
Okay.
I don't know how that would be called, but.
So you're saying that what's the conflict coming from? Is it coming from the sort of overreach of security? They're doing too much?
Yeah, overreach of security. Yeah,
okay.
Kind of like an overreach of security.
Okay, and who would that upset, do you think? Who would have a problem with that?
Person that has the water bottle. Like, it's just this pointless thing. It's like, I remember this one time, it was like somebody, like, while we were, it was in Disneyland, Universal, my father had like a flashlight. They stopped him for us. Like, it was a very teeny tiny little flashlight. They literally stopped him, so they literally made him walk all the way back for at least like a quarter mile.
Wow.
And that was a long line. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, maybe some members of the security team are getting too big for their they're getting their egos getting in the way, and maybe the other security actually could become a problem at a point. I could see that. Power trips. Customers suffer. Okay. I'm starting to see lots of different kind of ideas here, and I'm thinking that there's two ways you could do this in such a way that this is just a more realistic show that's actually following a crew of people who do this, and we would get to explore the intricacies of what it really takes to maintain security at a park like this. Or on the other end, you could take this in the sort of more, it's like an Adult Swim kind of direction, at which point we could have some fun, because we could have, dudes in goofy Mickey costumes beating up the criminals, which we couldn't really do if this was a realistic version of the show. So we could easily do either. I think for the purposes of this one, let's go with the realistic version for now, just so we can start to design our cast. So we have some ideas of the conflicts that are going to be coming up in the Disney Police show. How about the cast? So we have a main character, and most shows are going to have a central character, even if there's a big ensemble. We mentioned Michael is pretty much the main character of The Office, though in some episodes Jim is pretty much such a consistent B story that we might almost call him a co-protagonist. We have our main character. Often the main character will have a sort of best friend, or I'll just say central relationship, because it can be a best friend, it might be a parent or mentor. In a show like this, often the main character is going to either be a fish out of water who's just now joining this job, or they're going to be the one in charge of it. We have central relationship. We might have a main rival. In our office, I think we know who our main rival is. We have our Jim and Dwight rivalry, of course. And then we might have a love interest. And what's another archetype? Let's just add one more in here. Let's put like a wild card, which could be kind of anything, but is usually going to be someone who is there to cause a lot of trouble. This is your Charlie from Always Sunny in Philadelphia. So they might be friends, but whenever they're there, you never know what ridiculous situation will result from this. And then, we have the boss. So yeah, maybe superior, employer, etc. It might be that if our main character is the head of security, that their boss is kind of the head of the park or something like that. Almost everybody has a boss. Not just as the wild card would be the rat catcher. Yeah, I like that. Let's say the pesticide. Pesticide guy. All right. So, feel free to just throw out ideas for any of these things. Like, who do we think our main character's rival would be if they were? Let's say our main character is a member of the security team. I'm either thinking we're going to do Fish Out of Water or In Charge of It, but who would a good rival be? Who's going to be the nemesis of the security team at Disneyland?
It would be hilarious irony if his rival enemy was actually one of the guys in a costume as one of the Disney hero characters, good guy characters.
Oh, okay, one of the cast members. That could be funny. Yeah, let's maybe say it's going to be like Prince Charming, basically. And he's the one that's always getting all the recognition and respect, and all the people want to take pictures with him. Whereas our main character, as a security guard, everyone is annoyed by him and is always getting on his case for enforcing the rules. That could be a good sort of conflict, rivalry dynamic there. What else?
I was thinking for the main character that maybe they could be like since it's like, if they were to be like a Fish Out of Water thing, I'm thinking like maybe they're the only one who works there who like the magic isn't lost on.
That's a good one. Like, let's go with that. Go ahead.
They're more like plucky and ambitious about having the job and such, while everyone else is kind of like jaded by having worked there for so long.
Sure. Let's do a girl fresh out of college who has wanted to work for Disney her whole life. And you're right, this will make a good main character for this, because then they're going to be forced to sort of clash with the depressing reality of working at a place like this. I had a friend who did this. She was a cast member assistant or whatever they're called, and was obsessed with Disney in college, and then moved there and didn't have the best time. So Fish Out of Water, who will confront the dark, or let's just say, not necessarily, this isn't a thriller, we don't have to say the dark realities, but we'll confront, let's just say, the harsh realities of working there. And maybe she was always hoping to, be the one getting showered in praise and getting all the kids running up and taking pictures with her, and she ends up being the one telling people not to litter water bottles. Like, there's some interesting conflict there related to her expectations of the job versus the realities of it. Any other ideas for some of these archetypes? We have a central relationship, we have a love interest, we have a boss. A conscientious... Smoke and Fury says, a conscientious objector to Disney who trolls the park constantly. A conscientious objector is somebody who refuses to be conscripted for a war. I don't think Disney's conscripting anybody, so I think you're just talking about a troll. But yeah, we could have a sort of anti-Disney troll. That could be interesting. Somebody who, where am I going to put this? That would just be another rival, I suppose, wouldn't it? Or unless that's, are you saying that's one of these other archetypes here?
Oh, it's opposites fall in love. It's the love interest.
That actually, let's put that down for now. So the love interest is,
and my love interest idea before, up until that moment, was like, yeah, she's into. Well, then you realize, oh, it's a she. So it's going to be a Disney princess who's like everything not princessy.
That could be, and in this case, so if we're trying to pick somebody that is like, we can definitely do this conflict with the love interest thing, which works really well on TV, but it would have to be somebody that they would routinely be forced to interact with or choose to interact with, somebody that they're going to be around a lot of the time. Is an anti-Disney troll going to be at the park a lot? I mean, I guess they could be holding picket signs in the parking lot, right? But our main character won't be able to.
Are they hired by a rival? Are they hired by Universal?
Oh.
Yeah, I'm thinking like Universal, like, or MGM would, like, they work for them. They're not actually like, if you're trolling them, then you just have no life, and why would you want that as your love interest?
That's a good point. But yeah, I like the idea that it's
Universal. I'd say Universal's a good rival for Disney, especially right now.
I would agree. So maybe this is someone that it's like they're essentially being hired for viral marketing, because they're hired to like dress up in a costume like one of the Universal characters and go throw eggs at Mickey Mouse or something like that. That could be kind of interesting. I don't know if this would happen, but this is a funny idea. So in this case, we could say
how would this character, who is so opposite to our protagonist, Disney princess idealist, how would they connect?
I don't know. Good question. I could see maybe if they were sort of an enemy mascot, like they play the main. If we have like if Mickey Mouse is the main character of Disney, we pick like, I don't know, Optimus Prime. That's a Universal character, right? Let's just say it's Optimus Prime, and she only knows him by the name of Optimus Prime. So it's Optimus Prime. He comes over in his robot costume, and he is always challenging their mascots to dance-offs and stuff as part of like marketing stunts. So I guess that's how our main character is going to end up meeting and interacting with him, is when I don't think they're always trying to like drive him away. They must welcome him in because it draws a big crowd when they have a dance-off between Optimus Prime and Goofy, you know. So I would think that he's always trying to get one over on everyone, but he's not. I don't think he's trying to destroy the park or anything like that. And I could see some interesting situations. Maybe we would even have to team up with him if it turns out, you know, he shows up for the big dance off and it turns out Goofy's missing. The Goofy costume has been stolen. Something like that. Now we need to get him to help us find it so he can have his dance off. Something like that. Lots of great ideas here. Lots of great elements of this engine. I think this could totally be a show. My headphones have died. Paul says I thought it was a comedy the whole time. It is a comedy. Okay, so this is our workplace. Yeah, this is our workplace comedy set at the theme park. I really like this, and there's some interesting stuff here, and I hope that you guys can start to see, because I'm starting to see how we would get years of episodes of this, because there's a lot of potential storylines you could do just with the various challenges and problems that will come up while you're running a park this big. Like an arena this large has a lot of room for us to play around in, and a lot of room, especially in a job like security. It's very easy to get your character involved in a conflict because they only do something when there is a conflict, unless they're just patrolling around, in which case they're just riding the golf cart and not doing much of anything. But it's a job that lends itself, like, you know, any job that is responsive to emergency or high stress situations, like a doctor or a cop or anything. There's so many shows about those characters because it's just very easy to design situations or to design a season of episodes of problems for that character like that to solve, because it's their job to solve problems. Okay, so we've talked story engines, we've talked casts. I mean, we could do locations here, and I'll just list off 3 locations right off the bat. How about we have the roller coaster, we have the what do they have at Disneyland? Don't they have like a bar for the adults? They have, let's say, I don't know, bouncy house. These are kind of like attractions there. We might say the sea exhibits, if they want to do like a show, like a SeaWorld type thing with dolphins or whales or something like that. These are just ideas. And then underneath all these, you can write out, you know, like we did before, those various points of interest that might give you ideas for story seeds, or also just different ways that your characters could interact in and with those places. We don't have time. We're wrapping up this class in the next 7-8 minutes, though, so we don't have time to fill out that whole thing, but I hope that at least this has given you some ideas of how, in your sketchbook documents, you can start to sort of feel out, is there a show here? Is this a story world that has enough going on and enough conflict and enough characters that an engine becomes apparent? Because an engine isn't always something that you'll need to design really explicitly. You don't need to, like, say, this is part 1 of the engine, this is part 2, and this is part 3. We've kind of broken it down in those terms on this sheet here, but really an engine is this kind of amorphous, intangible combination of those things that makes it feel like, oh yeah, I could see this on TV a year from now, and then also maybe 3 years from now, because it just seems like there's enough track for our story to go on, that there's going to be enough conflict to power that engine for those years of episodes. Okay, so I want to just open the floor to questions about anything we've talked about today, especially when it comes to designing a show, characters, locations, and story engine, or just premise and stuff like that. What questions do you guys have about that, or comments on anything that we've discussed? Here's a question from Paul. Do you think AHS was pitched as an anthology, and how would you pitch something that changes every season effectively? Yeah, so for sure, American Horror Story was pitched as an anthology show. How would you pitch an anthology show? You'd be a very successful showrunner, basically. If you're not one, you're not going to be... First of all, these are a hard sell even from really established creators. And there's a reason that there's only one show that has that exact format that works just like American Horror Story does. That's a really unique format on TV. So basically, how do you pitch it? The same way you pitch anything. You write an amazing pilot and a great Bible to go with it, and you go out with your reps and have them really aggressively campaign for it, and you get meetings based on it, and you go through that whole process like you would sell any show, just with the expectation that it's going to be extra difficult to sell an anthology, because in your Bible for that show, you then have to delineate what is this first season going to be, and what are like some synopses of episodes from this season. If every episode is going to be something different, like Black Mirror, you're essentially pitching a series of unconnected movies. So you have to give us a stronger sense of what are some of those other stories that we're going to see, and maybe have more detailed synopses of them, and moreover be willing to talk about the themes that will connect all of these episodes. So I think on a show like Black Mirror, you're going to want to say, like, these episodes are all powered by technology. Like, the story engine of each episode comes from some speculative technology that will be explored from its darkest angle. So I think that you're going to have to speak more broadly as to the sorts of episodes that you're going to have, but at the end of the day, you're probably not going to be able to pitch and sell a reality show. So this, or not, what did I say? Reality show? I meant anthology show. So it's a tough sell to come up with a show that changes every season, because anytime somebody tunes in, you risk throwing them off if they've only seen one other episode, or at least that's the old mindset. I understand with streaming, it works a bit differently. It's a bit more of the Wild West, and I mean, who knows what the next trend will be, but as far as I've seen, anthologies are considered very difficult. I hope that answers that question. That was a long answer for an easy question. What else would you guys like to know? Or what else, did we not get to something today you were hoping to hear about? Or is there something related to the craft of creating shows that you would really like to see covered that we didn't get to?
Yeah, I got a question. So, like you've said, like from the very beginning, is like you're only allowed to write down the pilot, but not the full episodes. But what if, let's say that you had this brand vision that you had, like everything all planned out, but like, what would you do then? Like, if they say no to that, like, what would you do then? Like,
you mean if you pitch something and you don't, and no one buys it? Is that what you're asking about?
No. Like, let's say that you have everything all planned out, like how you have your all episodes written, planned out, and everything like that. Like, everything's like fluent the way that you want your own story to be, instead of just the entirety of the pilot. Like, you basically have the full season 1, like 12 episodes, probably maximum or minimum. But then, like, would you still be able to sell it? Or would it be a lot more harder?
No, you're just selling a pilot. After you sell a pilot, the people that you sold that pilot to are going to want to do extensive development on your show, meaning changing a bunch of stuff. So you're going to have to throw out all those other episodes that you wrote, if you, in the best case scenario where you sold the pilot. So it's not that you're not allowed to write those other episodes, it's that you're not going to be able to use them.
Okay. I mean, I just got real bummed out, like, you know,
I know,
like, as soon as I heard the news.
It sucks,
yeah.
I know. It would be awesome to be able to write a full show and sell a full show like that, but it's just not how it works. Like I said, a TV show is a multi-million-dollar company that's going to employ hundreds of people for years. And as a result, the people that you're selling the show to are going to want to have a large degree of control of what that show is. You're probably not going to be able to run the show by yourself. They're probably going to, even in the absolute best scenario, pair you with a showrunner who will sort of have a fair amount of control themselves. Like, this is creating shows is something for very, very experienced TV writers that have been working in the business for a long time, for the most part. That's not to say we can't do what we did today and, like, plan out these things, and there's nothing wrong with thinking through what a whole season of episodes would look like, but you're just not going to be able to use those scripts in the reality of the industry. Hope that's helpful. Here's a question from Paul. If you want to write a full show, you'll be more likely to get it made how you want if you make a successful comic first. I think that's a question. Yeah, if you are basing a show off of IP, then you are much more likely to more likely to be closer to its original source material than it would be to its original document if it just started as a script. Yeah, I mean, there will be a degree more of adherence and, fidelity to the source material. Not exclusively, though, and I think we've seen fan bases get very annoyed a lot of the time as shows are nothing like the book that it came from, or things like this. We've seen that before, so there's still a chance that it will change radically. But yes, you are more likely to keep the show closer to the original vision if it's based on something else, like a book, a comic, a play, or something along those lines. We're at our end time. Do we have any last questions on creating TV shows or planning out TV shows or coming up with characters and story engines or any of these things that we've talked about today? Thanks for coming, Smockin' Fury. Maybe it's Smokin' Fury. I guess if there's no other questions, we will wrap it here. I mean, feel free to chime in before I finish, but let's tell you about the stuff coming up. So we have new feature boot camp coming out January. That is going to be January 8th, Sundays from 11 to 1. You want to learn to write a full feature script from beginning to end. That's going to be Sundays in January, starting on the 8th for 6 weeks. And we are resuming our TV pilot class this Friday, so it's week 1 of TV pilot if you want to learn to write an entire pilot from beginning to end. That's going to be coming up Friday from 6 to 8 p.m. Pacific time. And then, do we have an upcoming... I guess we don't have an upcoming chart here.
Yeah, free class on Friday for TV.
Is that 11 a.m.?
It's 6 p.m. Friday.
Oh, sorry. That's the week 1. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Okay, so yeah, that's TV week 1, Friday at 6. And check out our other servers because we have plenty of other classes and stuff coming up. Yeah, thank you, Nacho. Just posted an image which has little blurbs for each of the upcoming promotional events this month that are free and open to the public. So bring your friends, watch along on our streams, and we'd love to have as many folks in for these as we can. Our next one coming up is going to be that Writing the First Page class. That's going to be Sunday the 18th at 11 a.m., and that's going to look at writing the first page of a feature or pilot, mostly focusing on features because that's my area of expertise. And definitely check out this TV. If you came by for today's TV class and you want to know how to start writing your pilot, well, come by Friday, this Friday, the 16th at 6 o'clock. And then rejoin us after the holidays for the rest of that course if you'd like. Here's the links to sign up for Script Camp. We'd love to have you here at scriptcamp.net/membership. You can sign up to become a monthly contributing member, or you can get a yearly subscription instead for 40% off. You can just buy one single course on its own at scriptcamp.net/classes if you want to. But with membership, you get access to every class on every server, every channel we have coming up. All right, I think we will call it here. I'll check the chat to see if there's anything else. Oh, make sure you, in that chat, there's a poll that just got posted. If you click that number 1, that indicates you are intending to sign up for our membership, and we can give you immediate access to all the exclusive member chat channels. I think that is it for today. I'm looking for the Stream People chat, which I can never... There it is. Doesn't look like we got any more comments in there. Okay, so we're going to wrap up for now. We hope to see you guys soon, ideally on this upcoming Friday at 6 for that week 1 of our TV pilot class. And we hope to see you guys at your next Script Camp event or workshop very soon. Have a great rest of your night.